Hello once again, and today I'm going to be talking about nostalgic memories of mobile phones that I've owned over the years, and this is going to be a video response to Lawn Boy's post 1975 for making this video in the first place. He was talking about his nostalgic memories on his early mobile phones. So what I'm going to do, I think I can remember most of the phones I've owned over the years. So we're going to take a look at some of the phones. Well, not some of them, nearly all of them, I think. Ones that I can remember owning anyway. And even in the times that I've owned it. So over the years, the ones that I owned to get, to start from the earliest to the latest, yeah. I think I've got it in the right order. I don't know. It's sort of taken me a while to think, and the phones that I used to have and put them in the order. Well, we'll see how it goes. I've got them all the pictures actually. So let's start from the beginning. So when I first got my mobile phone, it was about 1999, the year, the late 90s, and it all started with this phone. It was I believe it's the Philips C12. It was a BT Cellnet phone, which became O2. BT Cellnet was the better network, by the way. I'm not going to start arguing with that, but my opinion, I thought it was a better network. This was known as the U phone. So basically, it was quite cheap to operate. Majority of my phones that I've owned over the years have all been pay-as-you-go. Remember that. I've never ever had a contract until my phone which I'm using now. That's the only time I've had a contract, which is a rolling contract, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, remember, all my phones are pay-as-you-go. So this was on the U network from BT Cellnet. It's probably the cheapest phone you could get back then, even though it wasn't that cheap. It was under £100, but as you can see, it's got an aerial there. I actually replaced that aerial and put one of these little flashy things on it every time it rang. Obviously, it didn't have no features like you can't change the covers or anything. It's all as you see it, what you get. A little monochromic screen. Yeah, but this was the first mobile phone I had. Very cheap to operate. I think calls were very cheap. Text messages was about £5. I think you didn't have to top up every month. I think it was every 3 months you could top up. Our minimum was a tenner, and that tenner did get me a long way. Wow, 5p a text message. Yeah. And basically, all you could do with it was phone, receive calls, and text message, and receive text message. That was it. Didn't have no internet capabilities or nothing. It was just a standard mobile phone. It did me proud. So what did I get after that then? Right. Something a little bit more sophisticated. The Nokia 7110. Yes. Now that was a bit of a change. Also, it was the first phone that I bought. Was over £100. I don't know how much it cost. I think it cost me about maybe £120, which was pretty expensive back then for a mobile phone. But this was on pay-as-you-go. Obviously, if you was on contract, you got it for a tenth of the price. As I said, I never had contract. I didn't want to commit myself to a contract. But yeah, I bought that on pay-as-you-go. And that was also on BT Cellnet. But this phone was unlocked, so I could put any SIM card in it what I wanted to. Yeah, I really liked it. The first phone had WAP capabilities. Wireless application protocol. The first mobile internet. Yeah, I really liked that phone. It was basically a Matrix phone. Remember Matrix, the first Matrix film? You push if the phone rang, you want to answer the phone, you push the little thing in the back, and that sort of shutter thing that covers up the keypad, click down, and you could answer your phone. That was really cool back then. Everyone's wow. Yeah, I really like that phone. Yep, and the colour was only green. I think it was the first phone I had. You can download ringtones, downloadable ringtones. Remember that? Oh yeah, I did like that phone. But I think what I wanted was a second phone, because this was on BT Cellnet, and I wanted a phone also on Orange, because I won't go into detail. I was going through somewhere. Let's talk about. I wanted to contact America a lot. Yeah, and Orange was doing a good deal on their pay-as-you-go. You can contact the USA for something like 10p a minute. So I wanted to go with Orange, but also keeping my BT Cellnet phone. And so the next phone I got, as well as having this one, was the trusty 3210. Now, everyone had a 3210, but this was released in 1999, the year I'm talking about. And it was quite a revolutionary. As you can see, no aerial. I think it was the first actual phone you could download ringtones. I don't know if it was the first one you could actually key in your ringtones. I think that was the earlier Nokia. Before that one, I can't remember what it was called. It was a bigger one with an aerial, but I can't remember what that phone was called now. I never owned one. But yeah, everyone owned a 3210. And I actually owned that in that colour. With the only difference is mine had orange on the front. And also what you could do is change the front and the back of the phone, and you also change the keypad to another keypad like things. You could first one you could take the front off, take the back off, because obviously the other one you could only take the front off, the one before that. But yeah, I remember going up the market buying different cases for it. Yeah, I like that phone. It was a really good phone. I don't know what I did with that. I think I actually ended up replacing it. I think nothing was wrong with it. I think I sold it or something like that, and I replaced it with the Nokia 3310. And that was another phone you could also take the fronts off, take the backs off, and replace it. Also went to the market, bought new cases for it. Yeah, I like them old phones. There was also another model called the 3330, which had WAP capabilities. This one didn't, because it was the 3210. But yeah, I really like that phone. Really, so obviously it had the Nokia standards, the Snake, the games. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to use it as a phone, and it was good for that. And it was bloody tough and all, strong thing that was. And the batteries did last quite a long time. But yeah, I really liked that phone. Really liked it. What else can I remember about it? Yeah, the predictive text. I think the 3210 and my 7110 had predicted text. Yeah, but I can't remember. This had obviously more features. I think it could hold more ringtones than the 3210, and you can key in your ringtones the same as the other ones. But this is when I went to America. No, I didn't. I had one more phone before I went to America, and this was the 3510. And now this was the first phone I had that had polyphonic ringtones. There was also another phone exactly the same as that. I think it was the 3510i, which had a colour screen. I never had that one, but I had this one. Yeah, that was a great phone. Yeah, I remember downloading polyphonic ringtones for it. Really sounded different, really sounded quite good. I really liked that phone. Obviously it had more features. I didn't have WAP, because that's what the colour one had. That one had WAP, I think. And this is when I went to America. Yeah, I really like my Nokia phones. And what did the first phone I had? Was this bloody thing. And I do believe it was some company called Kyocera. I never heard of that company in the UK. Kyocera. And it was called the Rave KE433. I think that's what it is. And you can tell it's really gone backwards. And that is Virgin Mobile. I don't think back then phones was not as sophisticated in America what they were in the UK. Yeah, really, it's really like going back in time when I went. Oh, excuse me, I'm just picking up a cup of tea. Yeah, really like going back in time. I mean, it's a monochrome screen. It was blue and that looked quite nice, but it didn't have like sophisticated stuff on it or anything like that. And also with American phones, if you had a call, just say I was receiving a call, I'd have to pay for the call. Yeah, you have to pay for receiving a call. Something you didn't have to in the UK. I thought that was a bit stupid, but there you go. I think that applied with if you was receiving a text message. You had to pay for your own someone else's text message. I don't know. I can't remember that. So what did I have after that? So after that, we got this. This was the LG C11, I think. The first clam phone I ever owned. And it also had a colour screen, but no camera. It wasn't on the camera at this point. So no camera at the moment. Yeah, I don't remember too much about this phone actually. Or remember it was a clamshell. It played sort of MP3 ringtones. That's all I remember about. I think it had WAP. I don't know, or the American equivalent. Was they that sophisticated yet? I can't remember. I don't know. But yeah, same thing again. It was one of their. I think it was a contract. Me and my ex was on a contract, I think, at the time. And I tell a lie about the first guy. I think it was when I was in America. Actually, we did have contracts over there on our phones. Yeah, so I remember that sort of. But then after that, I had this. I think this was back on Pay As You Go on Virgin Mobile. Basically, it was I think it was the first phone I had with an MP3. What was the other one? I think you can download MP3s on it. I think that this was the one. And it also had an SD card you can put in it, something stupidly small, like a 32 megabyte SD card. We're talking about mid 2000s here, so yeah, it wasn't a fabulous phone or anything like that. It was just cheap. Kyocera, they were pretty cheap. As I said, I've never heard of that company over here. So what did I have next? Now this was a brilliant phone. I think it was the last phone I owned when I was in the States, and unfortunately I tried to bring this home and it didn't work because I think the American networks and the UK networks are completely different, so it wouldn't work. And not only that, their phones at that time didn't use SIM cards like our phones did, and this was on a contract. The Motorola Razr V3. Now that was an awesome phone. And it was the first phone I owned with a camera. Yeah, I remember that phone well. It was a brilliant phone. Really looks the part and all. Now we was talking about sophistication. I think it had internet. Had MP3 downloadable ringtones, which sometimes you couldn't do. I think they had a policy that you couldn't use certain ringtones or something, but I managed to find a way you could. I don't know how now, but it was a long time ago. I was talking about mid 2000s here. Yeah, maybe 2007, something like that. The final year when I was in the USA. And obviously I tried to bring it home. It didn't work. So I needed a cheap phone because I needed to find a job and all that. So what did I buy? This was a Nokia 6070. It had a camera. It had a nice colourful screen. But for this time, I think we're talking about 1997, not 2007. Sorry, 2007. So this is just before the smartphone, I think, before the Apple iPhone came out. Maybe just before that. But this was cheap. This is when phones started to be cheap. I think it was something like £30 for that phone, brand new. Yeah. So by then you could see things are getting a little bit more sophisticated. Had a menu, colourful menu on screen, MP3, ringtones, I think, all sorts of things. Yeah, it was for that time. It's pretty basic. obviously cameras were a basic thing. Obviously we're talking about VGA cameras here, nothing high tech like we got today. Yeah, so that was Nokia 6300. And next, no, it weren't a Nokia, it's the Nokia 67. It's Nokia 6070, because next, when I got the next phone I got, because this is when I was earning some money, the Motorola Razr 2 V8. Now, I quite like that phone, but unfortunately, it broke. I think I only had it about 2 weeks, or is it a month? I can't remember. I know I didn't have it that long. There was something happening with the front screen, because this phone had 2 screens, one on the front, one on the back. And it was an absolutely brilliant phone. I really liked it. But I think I had to send it back after a month, which is a shame, really, because I really liked it. It wasn't my original Razr that I had in the States. That's why I wanted to buy another one. But after that, I went back to something I knew and trusted. And that was another Nokia, which was the Nokia 6300. Now, I really like this phone. Had an SD card, had a camera, had everything I needed. So obviously the camera wasn't... I think it took 1 megapixel, or was it 2 megapixel photos. I think the video on it wasn't that cop, actually, because these are when videos started, really, video phones. You know, not a lot of people took videos on their phones. I mean, this is... Yeah, it was a nice phone. I really liked it. I had this for about a couple of years, which to me, that time, was the longest period of time I owned a phone, was a couple of years. Yeah, it had all sorts of things on it. I think it had a radio on it. Didn't use the radio, you could listen to your MP3s. You know, it had a nice colourful screen on it. Wasn't touch screen or nothing like that, but I didn't care. I don't like touch screen phones anyway. But I really liked it. I didn't want to part with it. But this was the time when everything started to go smartphones. Everyone was starting to get a smartphone at this time. And what did I buy? Did I buy a Samsung? Did I buy a Sony? Did I buy an iPhone? No. I stuck with Nokia. And what did I buy? This. This is known as the X6. It cost, I think this is about 300 quid. Cost me about that time, 300 quid. This was, I do believe this was 10 years ago. 2010, I bought this phone. And guess what? It lasted 2 weeks until I took it back. No, it didn't last 2 weeks. It lasted less than that until I was having problems with the screen. And I bought this from Carphone Warehouse, and that was the last phone I bought from Carphone Warehouse, because I would never buy a phone from Carphone Warehouse ever again. Because I said the phone was faulty, they saw the phone was faulty, but they wouldn't give me a refund or a replacement for some reason. They thought I broke it and I had to pay for it to get repaired. No, I called for the manager, and they changed their tune then, and I got a full refund. I wanted a replacement phone, but they wouldn't replace the phone, so I got a refund. I wasn't taking none of that. So what did I buy after that? Well, I went back to my old phone, my Nokia 6300, until I bought another smartphone, that is. And that's the Nokia N97. So this was the first proper smartphone that I owned. When I say proper smartphone, it was a smartphone, but let's face it, it was pretty rubbish as a smartphone, to be honest with you. I like the keyboard that came out, and I actually bought this from CEX. I didn't buy it brand new. I bought it from CEX. Yeah, as you can see, it had yeah, it was the first smartphone really proper I had, because the other one, well, it was, but I didn't own it very long. But yeah, the problem was it was very buggy. It wasn't great at all. I like the keyboard function. Yeah, it had a few features on it I like, but yeah, it was a smart. You know, it's the first got me into smartphones, so I wanted to replace it. And guess what? It was another Nokia. The Nokia N8. Now, reason why I wanted to buy this phone, because at the time it was boasting that it had the best camera for video and taking pictures. I think it was something like 12 megapixels at that time. And I thought, wow, I'm going to have that because I like doing videoing and I like taking pictures. So why not have a smartphone with it all built in? The camera was great. Don't get me wrong, the camera was great. But I think the video could only do up to 720. That was it. But it was a very buggy phone. It uses Symbian 3 or something as its operating system. So I've never used an Android or nothing like that. But, you know, it looked all right, it looked the part. But it was time to get another phone. I think I had it for about, I don't know, 2 years or something like that. But then I invested in something really good for the time. You know, I thought it was time to go for something different. You know, Nokia phones were going downhill at this point. You know, I stayed faithful to Nokia. I tried them, but they were really going downhill, and I thought it was time to branch out and go for something different. So what did I do? I went for the Nokia. No, I didn't go for the Nokia. Of course it weren't. Don't say Nokia. The Samsung Galaxy S3. So this was about, I think this was early 2013 this time. You know, I think they was doing a deal at this. I think the phone was out a year at this time. I think the S4 was coming out. It weren't out at that point, but I went for an S3. I got one at a good price, and that lasted me for almost 4 years. I had that phone for almost 4 years. Well, when I say I almost had that for 4 years, I've actually still got it. But I actually had to buy a new phone because it started to get a bit buggy and it started to crash. And eventually I did replace it with the phone that I've currently got now, which is the Sony Xperia XZ. Now, this ain't my favourite phone. There's a lot of problems with this phone, even when I bought it new. Probably down to the design of it. It overheats when you use the camera a lot, especially, well, it does this when it's summertime or the weather is really hot. But it's quite a heavy phone for comparing it to the phones of that time. But it was cheaper than the Samsung Galaxy for its time. So I wanted to go a little bit different and try a Sony phone, because at that time I think it had the best camera, or one of the best cameras. So something brought me towards Sony. Yeah, so I bought that in, I think, December 2016. I think, yeah, I just checked my Amazon, actually, I did, because that's where I bought it from. Yeah, so I've still got this phone now. Still works, you know, I've got no problems with it, with the operation and all that. I don't think I can update the Android now. I think it won't, the newer ones won't work on this phone, but it still works. I can still get the apps whenever I want. Does exactly what I want it to do. You know, I'm not one for smartphones, to be honest with you. I'm not one to go out and use my phone like on a daily. I use it if I need to use it. You know, I'm one of these people. I only use it when I need to use it. Obviously, I do my outdoor streams on it, but I'm not one of these people that's got to go on Facebook or Twitter every 10 seconds. You know what I mean? So this phone does what I need it to do. Yeah, as I said, it's the phone I'm currently using right now. I'm only going to replace it when I need to replace it, like if it breaks. And the only reason why I did replace the S3 is because it was starting to crash a lot, but I soon fixed that because I did a factory reset of my Samsung Galaxy S3, and now it works pretty well, like it was fresh out of the box. Yeah, so really it needed upgrade anyway, because that Galaxy X3 only supports 3G wireless internet anyway. So this has got 4G wireless internet. I mean, eventually 5G wireless is going to come out. Well, it's out already, but when it gets a lot more popular, that's when I'll probably replace it. But at the moment, I'm quite happy to keep it. I don't need to replace it. I might try and extend it to another year maybe, and if it's still working after another year, well, it'll be 5 years. we'll see from there. We'll take it from there. If it still works, I might still keep it. But, you know, if things start going a bit out of date on it, then I might have to seriously replace it. But what would I replace it with? I don't know. It certainly will not, and I repeat, not be an iPhone, because I don't want an iPhone. Not interested in iPhones. Why should I want an iPhone? Never wanted an iPhone, never appealed to me. So I might go back to a Samsung, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And that's all my mobile phones that I think I've had. I might have had more, I don't know. So spanning from the last 21 years. So there you have it. So they were all the phones, or most of the phones that I've owned, I think, from the last 21 years. Yeah, so there's a lot of good phones there. Some that I really like. Is there any phones in that little list I had that you owned? Was there a particular favourite phone you owned? Or is the phone you own your favourite? Obviously, phones get better and better, don't they, as technology gets better. But I certainly think my Sony phone certainly isn't the best phone that I've owned. It's really hard to say, really, because they all had its different times. But I did like the Nokia phones where you can change the fronts and the backs. You know, that brings back a lot of memories. My 7110 with a Matrix phone, that was quite stylish. I like that. My first ever mobile phone, my little BT Cellnet, now O2. Crap network now, anyway. Yeah, as I said, I'm on Virgin Mobile now, and it's rolling contract, so don't need to top up anymore. But yeah, I quite like my pay-as-you-go phones. Any particular phone that you like? Any particular on that list, as I said, you own, you really liked? Let me know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, and goodbye.